mother. And of course, she is just, totally enthralled with his granddaughter. She's a very pretty woman, very pretty young girl. I think she's supposed to be a teenager. And I remember the scene where she goes into the bathroom and sees the bathtub. And she turns on the bath water and she's watching the water go through the faucet. And she's never seen anything like this before. And she's looking at it. She puts her hand under it. And it's like, wow, she's there smiling and giggling. Wow, you're like a waterfall. This is a little waterfall that's going through the bathtub. Then she accidentally hits against the shower and the shower comes down and she gets scared and she runs out of the bathroom. Of course, everybody in the audience is, laughs at that scene. Well, later on in the movie, somebody murders this very wealthy grandfather. And so there's a whole thing in the movie about, of course, turns into a murder mystery, trying to find who did it, whatever, probably for his money. And I forget the rest of the movie, but, like I said, I don't remember the title. And, have you ever had anything like that where, a movie or something you saw as a kid you would like to see again as an adult?
Kind of. I have this one movie in my head and I can't find it, but I remember certain scenes and it was a weird movie. And I think it was made in the 80s or early 90s. And I remember it was because Mrs. Barsky had all these movies that she would HBO. And it's about this woman who, it takes place in some dystopian future. And this woman's family gets kidnapped by some mob boss. And she tries to rescue them back with these like furry animal human creatures. And there's this one part where there's this one of the girl who's kidnapped, because it's one of her daughters, I think. She has this mechanism called a clap, and you find out that a clap is this steel ball that when you clap your hands, spikes come out of it. And it was like an adventure movie, but it was I would love to figure out what it was. And I've Googled it a couple of times and I've looked for it a couple of times, and I just can't seem to find it or understand it. And I remember even asking the family, like, has anyone ever seen this movie? But I've gotten nothing. I was hoping you could talk about when you were a 14-year-old girl asking for voice lessons, if you could elaborate on that story.
Yes, what happened was my parents didn't have money for private lessons. And I wanted private violin lessons, and they said no. And I was very disappointed. I even tried one time too. I thought maybe if I practice a whole day, they'll give in. And I was practicing a whole day. And I hate to say it, my older sister blew my cover. She ran to my parents and said, she's just practicing a whole day, so you'll give her private violin lessons. I still hold it against her to today.
Okay.
I don't believe in holding in revenge.
No, of course not.
I'm joking.
I know. It's
we
a
were
joke.
Kids, forget it,
Yeah.
But so when I was 14, I always got all these compliments about my singing. I was one of these kids that got solos in the choir. And then it occurred to me, I thought, you know what? I wonder if Peabody Institute has scholarships. And so I called them. 14-year-old kid. In fact, I was 14. I called them and they said, yes, they do offer scholarships. You have to audition. So my mother and I took the bus. My mother came with me and took the bus, and I auditioned. And what I couldn't get over was, to me, the audition was nothing. It was like I sang, and the woman said, wow, she was really impressed with my voice, who tested me. And then she was tapping out these rhythms, and she wanted me to tap them back to her. And as I was tapping them back, she looks at my mother, she goes, wow, he tapped those rhythms exactly. I thought to myself, what's so hard about that? Doesn't everybody do that? To me, it was nothing. It was like drinking water. And then she played different notes on the piano and wanted me to sing whatever note she played. And she said, wow, she's right on pitch. I thought, what was so hard about that? Doesn't everybody sing on pitch? Then years later, of course, I graduated college and became a music teacher. And then I really appreciated how this woman felt, because there are people who cannot sing on pitch, You play for them a bit. And you know something? It's not really their fault. I realize now a lot of it's very biological. You either have the neurons in your brain to be able to hear these things and pick them up, or it's something you're born with, or you don't. It's like any other talent. You've got to be born with the potential. Now, I've had some voice students who who had a hard time distinguishing pitches. And what I did was, the way I trained them was I used kinesthetic training. In other words, take your hand, and as I went up each pitch, I said, move your hand with me as we go up. And combining the sound of the pitch with movement, eventually, as you know, the lessons went on, eventually they were able to sing on pitch. I had a friend in college, in fact, who came to me in a panic. I don't know if we went over this one time. He played in a band.
I think we've talked about this briefly, but we couldn't say it again.
So he played in this band and he played keyboard. Well, the new band manager said, I want everyone to sing. You cannot be in this band. I don't care what instrument you're playing unless you can sing. Everyone in this band is going to sing. What can I tell you? The bullfrog solo from Sounds of the Pond.
Yeah.
So he comes to me in a panic. You have to teach me to sing or I'm out of the bed. You got to teach me. So I said, okay. I said, come to my house. I'll give you a voice lesson. So I did. I worked with him, with scales and showing him the dynamics of singing. And after he left, my mother said to me, there was a big difference between when he first came in, I heard him sing, and when he finally got to the end of the lesson and sang. And he did manage to sing well enough that they kept him in the band. And I remember, in fact, I went to one of their, it was a performance, and they performed for some sort of